Welcome back to another episode of WTF. It's the show that aims to take a deep dive in some of the acts performing across festival season 2020. In today's episode, we're looking at the incredible Solardo. They're a DJ duo based out of Manchester. If you've never come across them before, hopefully this video will help answer the question, who the f*** is Solardo? Mark Richards and James Elliott, collectively known as Solardo, are a house and techno duo based out of Manchester. They're also described as tech, house and analog on their Facebook pages. It would be really easy to draw comparisons between people like Duke Jamont, Gorgon City, Camel Fat, Fisher, and Anti-Up. However, they also harbour back to a time, for me anyway, which reminds me of pre-turn of the century Ibiza house, with records like Music Sounds Better With You by Stardust, Big Love by Pete Heller, and Touch Me by Rui da Silva. Not exactly like that, it just reminds me of that time. For the story, we're going back way before Solardo. Mark started making dubstep under the name MRK1, releasing his debut EP in 2006, Ready for Love, featuring the record Rat Trap. We're talking old school dubstep. We're talking old school dubstep. Nearly half a lifetime ago, it was still the Wild West as a genre, a really exciting time. It was a genre that formed out of the kind of ashes of garage after the first death of garage. And garage split into two main genres. It was like dubstep and grime. And a lot of the MCs went and started making grime, and a lot of the producers started making dubstep. And the two interlinked. A lot of the MCs still worked with a lot of the producers and DJs. The Americans hadn't got their hand on it. Brostep wasn't a thing. Skrillex wasn't making big scary noises. And this incredible scene was emerging with the likes of Scream, Benga and Casper. MRK was there from the start. He would go on to find success in the dubstep world with records Drop Bass, I Got To, featuring Sizzler, his remix of Bass Nectar's Bass Head, and the Dots Blood, Sweat and Tears. Which in hindsight has some real similarities to some of Solardo's music. More on that in a minute. There's a whole episode or mini documentary that I could talk about the dubstep scene, the rise and fall. It was such an exciting time for music. For a good 6 to 7 years, it was just the hottest sound in the world. It was so new and exciting and dark and scary. My parents definitely weren't gonna like it, but unfortunately met its demise in the early to mid 2010s. There's a great article on Mixmag that I was reading about the kind of start of Solardo and which kind of meets up with the end of dubstep really. And rather than just kind of rewrite, I thought I'd just read you like a section from it because it's really good. I like it anyway. I was down to my last £100, says Mark. James sold his house and put money into the studio so he could make music his main focus. We both had to make it happen. Both in their 30s, they locked themselves away for 6 months doing 12 to 16 hour days and refining what's now become their low end heavy, jacking, rough soul sound. They wrote 35 tunes, all signed within a month, thanks to in part to a very old school technique. Parties, grins Mark, whose racious sets often see him and James sharing their rider with the crowd. We were out all the time, supporting the scene, making friends. We hosted parties and invited DJs we wanted to work with. We'd party and after party with them, making connections. It's a community vibe that I haven't experienced since Forward at Plastic People. That was the dubstep night, by the way. The one that Scream was a big part of. Like-minded people meeting up and playing their music they love. It's not just nights out, it's about having experiences. In 2016, they released the record Planet Moog and Crank. Independently on their own record label, this took more of a darker house sound than a dubstep sound. Planet Moog was then picked up by Boiler Room, who promoted it on the YouTube and SoundCloud channels, which gained a lot of traction. They would follow this up in 2016 with records Acid Rocks, Rock and Roll, and The Biggest High, taken from the Give It To You EP. And How I Work, taken from the How I Work EP. All in all, I can count 10 releases in 2016. A big year. In 2017, they released 3 EPs with their own title tracks. The Aztecs, Matador, Keep Pushing On. 2018 saw a big jump for Solardo. They started by releasing the record Be Somebody on Ultra Music. A subsidiary of Sony, which has also released records with deadmau5, Steve Aoki, Calvin Harris, Tiesto, Avicii, David Guetta, and many, many more. They then followed this up with the record Accelerator.
Keeps you moving. Accelerator.
A collaboration with them and other tech house DJs, Camel Fat. And also in 2018, they had a full season residency at High in Ibiza, hosting Room 2 with a pick of their guests. In late 2018, they headlined their first warehouse project in Manchester, a bit of a homecoming gig for them, supported by the likes of Claude Von Stroke, Heidi, and Paul Woolford. Oh, and Eli Brown. On the mention of Eli Brown, it was last year in 2019 that they really stepped it up with their release XTC, which was in collaboration with Eli Brown. A record that gained them daytime radio support, was number 1 on the BBC Radio 1 dance chart, Annie Mac's hottest record in the world, Danny Howard's Friday Fire, and it's also their most popular record on 2.4 million hits on YouTube. Late last year, they collaborated with Chris Lake, one half of Anti-Up, who performed at last year's Reading Festival, on the record Free Your Body.
Free your body.
And to top it off, they also released the record Move Your Body with Marshall Jefferson. A record that's absolutely cooling out for the summer. I quite like it as a record, I'm not gonna lie, it's a good one. So far this year they've not released anything new. However, they have a new record entitled My Life, which was the soundtrack to their social media video for the Manchester Albert Hall show last week, which is due out on Friday on Ultra Music. My guess is that it'll be Annie Mac's hottest record in the world on Friday night. To date, they've had over 250 live shows since they started touring in 2016. I'm sure they've done more, this is just going on some kick, and have 26 dates coming up between now and November. This is their first time playing Reading and Leeds. They're taken to the dance stage on the Saturday at Reading, Sunday at Leeds, supported by Sonny Fodera, but they're headlining, so they're clashing with the likes of Rex Orange County, Liam Gallagher, Gallows, Girl in Red, and Danny Brown. Now, I have to say, I've never been a big fan of tech house. It's not been a sound that I've loved. There's been some records that I really like, but as a sound, I just don't latch onto it like I did some of the other scenes. But I think that Saturday night will be a fun one to walk around. I'm not massively gassed to check out Liam Gallagher. I'm not massively gassed to check out Gallows. I'm not massively gassed to check out Rex Orange County or Danny Brown. I do love Danny Brown, probably the most out of all of those. But I actually want to see everyone, so there'll probably be a little wander around where I can see everyone. I do think they're a really cool couple of guys. They're super down to earth, they're making big records. They've come from a scene which faded out and they've just relished in it. And I've got so much time for people that do that. I had a lot of fun writing this video. There were a lot of fun writing this video. They seem like really, really cool guys, and a couple of the records they've released I've absolutely loved. XTC, I've hammered. Well, I remember it coming out last year. I can remember walking around Brisbane, absolutely loving that record. I'm excited to see where they go next. Hopefully they can continue to pull it out of the bag, but I reckon I'll be checking them out. What do you think? Are you a fan of Solardo? Are you checking them out at this year's festival? Have you seen them perform before? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below as always, and I will see you in the next one. Cheers. Bye.